To start this off, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you guys are doing out at Cowessess First Nation to stay safe during this time?
Absolutely, Wade. Well, thank you. Cowessess First Nation, we're an hour and a half east of Regina, so we are quite close to some urban settings. As of this hour on this day, there is no COVID-19 cases on Cowessess. Our main objective is to minimize the risk of COVID-19 getting to Cowessess First Nation. We got 237 homes, residential areas, so we have monitoring stations when you enter. If you're not on the housing list, then there is no need to be at any of the homes right now. We know we're pretty much asking our own people to go against one of our values, and that's building relationships, visiting your family, your cousins, but it's for the betterment of the community. We have 920 community members on Cowessess. Just about all of them are updated daily. They understand the seriousness that we're taking it. And so Cowessess, we're just remaining proactive, but we take it hour for hour. We're in interesting times. And as the chief, I'm so proud of my people in the response that everybody is giving at this time.
Right. So you mentioned about the monitoring stations or the security checkpoints, and there seems to be a lot of First Nations in Saskatchewan right now that are doing that exact same thing. What exactly are these security checkpoints, and what how is that going right now?
Absolutely. So we have community members that have stepped forward and signed up to be security. So, they are all common sense smart. Some of them do have a little bit of training, but their heart is for the community. Every vehicle must stop at our entrances, and they ask them a list of questions. Every answer that is given is confidential, but it is around traveling. Do they have symptoms? Which house are they going to? What's their purpose? Just so we can track the data to make sure that we know where people are coming and going, and ultimately to remind them to stay home and self-isolate.
What types of challenges are you guys finding right now in terms of communicating with each other and being able to keep things moving?
Keeping people home. People some people are getting antsy. They need to get out. They need to go travel. They need to go shopping. They have desires that they need to go and fulfill, if it's just shopping or leaving the reserve. Ultimately, is just trying to ask our people to stay home is probably the biggest challenge. Communication is very dependent on Facebook, on social media. We have been doing phone calls. I don't know if it's a challenge or an opportunity, but Zoom has been our best friend in the last 2 weeks. I have attended more Zoom calls and phone and meetings than I ever have. I must have, in the last 2 weeks, have attended 20 Zoom meetings. Yeah. So they're, as personal as you can get, as you and I are on Skype right now. But, the other challenge is the anxiety is real. When people are out, they're feared. And, some of them are triggered from maybe something that happened in intergenerational trauma. If it's residential school, I even had one elder say that, he feels like this is the past system all over again from the early 60s. And so, it's just trying to keep your people calm when there's a lot of anxiety and fear of unknown right now.
Right. So collectively, do you guys have any strategies in place in terms of, maybe having representatives from the community doing the grocery trips and, the necessary supplies? Do you guys have anything like that in place?
Absolutely. We got what you call a color card system. So there's 6 different colors on there, and every home has one. They have to hang it where we have peacekeepers. The peacekeepers are kind of our bloodline, are to keeping everybody in connect. Peacekeepers should be the only ones to go to homes rather than the ones in that residence. So there's one color that indicates groceries. So some of our families have inequality right now, which is, it's a reality. So what if there's a card color that states I need food? We got an entire room filled of non-perishable and some perishable foods. We also have the Cowessess Gas and Grocery and the Broadview Co-op, which deliver to Cowessess. So if anybody wants to order groceries, they can deliver from either, and they deliver them right to their doorstep.
That's good to see. And Chief, you're seeing more and more collaboration out there and certainly seeing a lot of collaboration between all those Broadview area bands. Is there anything more in terms of the pandemic strategies that you guys are collaborating on as a group?
Working with Chief Lynn in Zagame, re-elected, and good friend of mine, Chief Evan in Cowessess, and a big mentor of mine, Ogamao Squale, Margaret and Ochapways, have been a blessing. We have been neighbors for over 120 years, and so this pandemic only unites us even more. We have, the four chiefs, we keep each other up to date on about 3 times a week. We email each other. We all agreed to watch our exiting and entering borders, and our interconnected borders will monitor together. So this only speaks to the positiveness of how united the 4 First Nations are in addressing a situation like COVID-19.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. That's really good to hear, Chief. Hey, so everyone's talking about that show, Tiger King. Have you seen it?
Absolutely not. I listened to the radio. I heard about it, and I heard the guy, or the main actor on there, is he doesn't give validity to the actual guy, that how mean he was. But other than that, that's all I know about Tiger King.
Right. Okay, so what are you watching right now? What does Chief Cadmus Delorme like to watch when he gets home on Netflix? And the kids are already in bed, and you got time to yourself, and you get to watch whatever you want. What are you going to be watching?
Well, number one, my wife makes the final decision on what we watch. We just finished watching Power on Crave. That was that 50 Cent. It's a series about. It had kind of like a modern day Game of Thrones. It has your power struggle. It has your everything like that. But we just finished that. That was six series, 6 seasons. Amazing finish. Hang on, my boss here. I got to change her YouTube here. Okay.
No problem. This is not the news.
This phone runs the nation until 4:30, and then it has nothing but Paw Patrol on it. So
nice.
She can hang up on someone faster than I've ever seen before using my phone.
That's awesome. It's totally cool for that kind of stuff, because like I say, we're not in studio. This is home isolation, and you are definitely leading by example, Chief. And with that, I just want to thank you. I'll let you have the last word.
Thank you, Wavell. I've always been a fan. You've been a mentor of mine, and to everybody listening, we're going to get through this. We're going to heal together. We're going to recover together, and we all got to play our part. I do strongly believe that this is teachings to us as we listen to our Kokums and Mushums time of living off the land and closely connected to your family. I always remember in grade 11 one time I went on a canoe trip. And we went up to past La Ronge. And being a Southern Indian, I call myself a Southern Indian because I've always been close to a city. Yep. Being up in the bush for 5 days with no bathrooms, no public, just canoe, islands, and feeding and eating off of what we cook. I came back with an appreciation in life in grade 11 I never forgot. I do believe when we recover from COVID-19 that we're going to appreciate a lot of things that we might have took advantage of before. So, stay safe. Always a big fan of the First Nation sensation. And thank you, Wavell, for even considering me to share a few words.
Thank you very much, Chief.